over to you, George.
Cool. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first ever EMEA Adobe Analytics User Group meeting. Thanks to everyone who registered as featured attendees. In the end, there was too many to include them, but we'll look at some way of including these in future sessions. As this is our first session, maybe be patient if we have some technology issues. Frederick and I are going to run through a quick intro and a few general slides about keeping up to date with what we're up to. I'd suggest maybe grabbing your phones, as there are a couple of QR codes to scan through the session. And we'll also be chucking a few links in the chat that we'll kind of pin to the top for easy reference. But before we get going, I'm just going to
That goes about as expected. First chance for my soundboard in public. Sorry.
Well done.
Well, and gone is George. Well, there goes our presentation.
No worries. That came right after he said apologize for any technical difficulties. So
indeed,
one pass.
Give it to. We might give him a second to rejoin.
No problem.
All right.
If not, then Frederick, do you want to share and continue on?
Well, I don't want to, but I don't have a choice now, so I think I will just do it then.
There we go.
So you should see my screen now. That was a very nice introduction. So I wanted to take a quick minute at the start also to make all of you aware to a very serious issue that is going on right now as we speak in Germany. You will have heard about the current natural disaster that has been striking like the region that I'm personally in, like a 15-minute ride from me. It literally looks like this. So I've put a link here to a German donation page that will help the people affected by this disaster to be relieved from that as soon as possible. I will also put the link in chat here. So this is a very, very serious issue that has been hitting like my region, and I'm luckily not personally affected by this, but if you can and if you have the chance to donate, that would be very much appreciated. Also, you can select other like international causes on that page as well, because like Belgium, the Netherlands, also Africa, China, all around the world, there's some very serious disasters going on right now. So if you have the chance, I would be really, really thankful if you could take a second to donate on that page. All right, and that was not on the agenda for today, and I'm just waiting for George to rejoin.
I'm back now, Frederick.
There you
Sorry
are.
about that. My computer just crashed a really inconvenient time.
Well, it was just after you said excuse any technical difficulties. So it
sounded like my computer was going to take off, and then
I just done my slides. So if you want to continue with
nice.
with the slides, I will just move forward for you.
Yeah. So agenda today. So firstly, we're currently doing the welcome to the user group section. And after I stop talking, then Kelsey's going to take over from Adobe and give you some more in-depth information about what we're aiming for with the user group and some of the benefits of being involved. And after that, we're going to do a live poll with some questions for everyone to answer. And that's going to help us with the kind of content we'll be doing in future sessions. That's when you'll definitely need your phones for that. And then after we've done that, we've got some speakers from Adobe. So we've got Eric Matisoff, who's going to be presenting Adobe's view on the cookieless future, and Ben Gaines as well, who will be running through some of the highlights of the Adobe Analytics roadmap. We've got Jen Lasser as well. I'm not sure if she's going to be pitching in as well, but we'll finish it off with a Q&A at the end as well. Oh, Jen's right there. There you go. Cool. So yeah, little intro to me. On the right is one of the only slightly professional photos of me on the internet. I'm an associate director in the analytics team at Merkle, based in the UK. I manage a team of Adobe specialists doing implementations, analysis, and consultancy work. I've worked across quite a few different Adobe Analytics and Experience Cloud implementations over the years. Some representatives of those companies are probably on this call. Last summer, I helped write some of the questions for the Adobe Analytics Architect exam, where I was given the impression that if I told anyone the answers, I'd be locked in some kind of Adobe-themed prison. So I won't be doing that.
All right, and then that is me, or that has been me like a decade ago, but it's also like the most recent, the most professional photo I have of me. So hi, I'm Frederick. I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and you can take a wild guess at which company I'm currently working on. Like I'm running that blog, fullstackanalyst.io, that some of you might read. And yeah, I'm super happy to now be part of this user group as well, because like for years I've been always pestering Adobe because I wanted to have something like this in Europe, and now I finally have it because I just need to create it myself. So that's fine as well. And yeah, that's me. Over to you, George.
Yeah, so what are we actually trying to do with the user group? The main thing we want to do is share knowledge across the Adobe Analytics community. Help each other get value from the Adobe Analytics platform. We'll do is be providing a forum really for people to share their work to a wider audience. As part of that, we want to facilitate a connection from the analytics user community to Adobe's product management as well, which I think we've done, made a good start at for this call based on the speakers. The US already have these kind of user group communities which are pretty highly engaged and work really well. So we're trying to replicate that for EMEA by bringing people together around our favorite topic. And we're also just trying to keep things kind of informal and light as possible, as analytics can be a bit serious sometimes. So yeah, got a few more slides now on kind of housekeeping things. So there are two aspects to registering. The way you've done it now for this session, but please also register for the chapter, as shown in the big red box on the slide. This will mean you get any future comms on future sessions, and anything else we choose to send out as part of the user group. And hopefully, I can't actually see it, but I hope that the link is now in the chat. Yeah, Frederick's nodding, so I'm going to go for that. And then as part of that, if you want to get in touch with us, if you want to present at one of the future sessions or just want to ask us any questions, if you just scroll down on that chapter page, you'll see mine and Frederick's faces. And if you click on the big blue button there, you'll send an email directly to us. So yes, that is it for the contact us. And then yes, so last bit of admin. So please also subscribe to the YouTube channel. This is where we'll upload this session and future sessions and any other content further down the line. Again, hopefully the link is the link's now in the chat. So yeah, we're all good for that. And I think that's it from me. I'm going to pass on to Kelsey, who's going to go into a bit more depth on the user group initiative.
Awesome. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. All righty. So hi, everyone, and welcome to the inaugural EMEA Analytics User Group. I'm Kelsey Bork. I manage user groups at Adobe. I know that George kind of touched upon some of the program goals, but I wanted to go a little bit deeper just to share with you what you can expect by joining a user group within the Adobe program. So number one, really invaluable in this program is the community that comes with it. So by joining a user group, you're given the opportunity to connect with other people globally and also find users that might be local to your area. So hopefully when things start shifting from virtual to in person, there's also an opportunity to create local meetups in the future. So definitely a great chance to expand your network. With that being said, the second point here, having your toughest questions answered. As an alternative to having to submit, multiple support tickets, use these user groups as an opportunity to really connect with others and ask those questions and get them answered. This is great to exchange tips and tricks and best practices. Number three is this is also an avenue where you can earn some great Adobe swag. And as this is the first user group meeting, we're also going to be giving out a couple of Amazon gift cards. So what we'll do is when you stay till the end, we'll export the attendee list to a raffle generator, and then we'll email 3 lucky people the prizes. And then fourth, also a call out, if you want to speak at any of these user groups, it also helps increase your personal brand. We want to give you the stage and make sure you're getting your name out there as an analytics expert. So don't hesitate to reach out. A little bit about the user group program roadmap. So we are committed to creating accessible and inclusive customer-led user groups across Experience Cloud. So as you can see from the graphic, we currently have Marketo Engage user groups where there's actually 91 chapters globally, and that's definitely what we're looking to create similarly with Adobe Analytics. Up next is going to be Experience Manager, which is launching this August. And then around the corner will be Adobe Commerce and also Adobe Target user groups. So keep an eye out for those. A couple of opportunities that you guys have. There are actually 2 other user group meetings coming up. I saw Sarah Owen, she's on the call. She leads the North America Central chapter, and they'll be having a session on campaign tracking on July 27th. And then on August 11th, the North America East Coast chapter will also be having a kickoff with Eric Matisoff, who's also on this call. And if you are not able to attend, I know the timing can be a little funny sometimes. We'll also have all these recordings uploaded to that YouTube channel, so you definitely want to subscribe. Oh, and we have Jeff Bloomer on the call too, so he leads the North America East Coast chapter. All right, and if you are interested in starting a chapter of your own or have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to me, kbork@adobe.com. All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kelsey. And now I will take back the screen share because now we're going to my maybe favorite part of Discord today, which is the live voting. So what you see on your screen right now is both a QR code for you to scan on your phone or a URL that you can click in the chat or just type in your browser. I'm going to do the same right now. And that is going to take you to a live voting page. And I'm actually just going to start the first question just to get things started, which is, where are you currently watching us from right now? I'm in EMEA, so I click that. And oh, you guys are active and responsive. That's very nice. But I already knew that because I was just looking at the live count of the subscribers on our YouTube channel, and we are up to a whopping 23 subscribers right now, which is great. So most of you are from EMEA, which is not that big of a surprise. So let's just go to the next question, which is how much experience do you have with Adobe Analytics? And I just submitted mine and look at those numbers go. So if the Adobe product team wants to have some inspiration for the real-time reporting feature, I like this. Like, this works nicely. Very nice. We have a very experienced crowd here. That is super cool to know. Awesome. So votes slowly stop coming in, and I'm just going to switch to the next one. So this is a bigger list because here you can actually select all the different tools that you are using in your day-to-day work. So I'm going to submit mine right now. I'm actually not the only person using Customer Journey Analytics. That is awesome. All right. Quite a few people on Experience Platform already. Very, very nice. So AEM, Audience Manager, all are there. Super cool. So obviously the reason why we do all that, why I switch to the next question, is we want to really tailor this user group towards the needs of our audience. And for that, we need to know who our audience actually is. So here you can now, for example, select all the different tasks that you do in your day-to-day business so that we know what content might be most relevant to you. And we see a lot of people, for example, dealing with strategy. Super interesting to know. And a few leadership people as well. Awesome. Super cool. So I don't even need to explain any questions I see right now because you just start voting as soon as I switch to the next one, which is great. So here's an even longer question for you, which is what content you would like to see in this user group. So for example, we have end-to-end use cases as well as integration examples, but also like tips and tricks for analytics in general, but also, of course, workspace. Don't call it analytics workspace, I've learned. So that is a very cool thing to see. And also, if there's something you would like to see us do as well. So I've heard Kelsey actually has a budget for the year. So if you want Adobe to fly me over to America and have maybe Eric and me compete in a kind of competition, who can put on the most Adobe shirts in a minute, like you could put that in chat, and if enough people would write that in chat, then maybe Adobe doesn't even have a alternative in doing that. All right. All right. Jen is sold. That is great. So very diverse group, very much interest in a great list of topics. So next question then is which event formats you would like to attend. So right now we're in a presentation style session, but we could also have like discussions, Q&As like we're going to do afterwards, office hours, interactive trainings. And if you want to have something else in this user group, just let us know in chat because we are very open to suggestions here. All right, votes are coming in still hot and heavy. Very nice. That's super cool. We were a bit worried because none of us have ever used this tool, but it works so nice. It's a free tool. You don't need to sign up. You don't need an account or anything. It's super cool. So if you want to use it in the future, like up to now, I can recommend it. Very nice. A lot of people want us to do trainings, which is very good to know. All right. And then the next question in regards of the media format, like right now we're doing the presentation and video stuff. Maybe you don't want to see our faces all the time, which I could kind of understand. So if you only want to have the presentation, we do understand that. So I was going to ask, maybe somebody wants to also have us on Clubhouse or some of those audio only sessions, but well, we can kind of explain the Clubhouse numbers by now. All right. So there goes that idea. All right, we're not going to do that. Very nice. Now, don't vote for Clubhouse now. Not just because I said it. All right, very nice. And we're going to the next question, which is kind of practical. So we need to have our session at some time of the day, and we don't know at which time. So let us know which one would fit your schedule. You can select multiple ones on this question as well. Seems like we're doing things right, George. Afternoon has a strong preference. That is very nice. No, we're not totally off with what we're doing. Perfect. And next question for you. You may have expected it. Which day of the week would work for you? This is kind of biased because we're asking on a Wednesday how many people might be available on a Wednesday, but well, that's how you get the results that you want, right? Perfect. And we still have so many people voting. That's awesome. Thank you so much. It's very, very helpful to create the next session. And then also a very important question to us is, would you personally would like to contribute yourself, or maybe you do know something who you would want to talk into this? So at least when I am asking this question, most people don't want to do this. So maybe I'm not the best person to ask that question, but well.
Those people that do want to present, please contact us on the big contact us button on the chapter page.
Indeed, let us know and we can figure something out. All right, and that was the last real question, but now comes the actually most important one for today, because we do have some guest speakers now, and we want to actually know how excited you are to hear them. Like the last answer is a bit cut off, but well, what was I expecting? Of course, everyone is super excited to have Eric go next. Well, all right, I'm not the only person who can't stop thinking about Eric for weeks. That's good to see. Very nice. So we now have our data. We are going to consider all of that. You've now seen all the... you too have that problem, Eric, always thinking about yourself. That's, well, all right, if you say so, that's good. So if you want to reach out to us to actually present at one of those user groups, like George said, hit that button on the chapter page on the user group page, and I would say we are ready for Eric to take the screen share. If you want to, you can do freestyle as well.
All right. Can you hear me? Loud and clear?
Yes.
Cool. What's up, everybody? How we doing? Good to see you. Going to be very serious during this session, as you would expect, because analytics is a serious topic. There will be no jokes, just talking a little cookieless action. So, how much time do I have, Frederick? Like 2 or 3 hours?
It's as much time as Ben will give you. So
I think
like,
it's 10-ish. Okay, cool. All right. So let me go ahead and share my screen, and hopefully the fact that we have 3 laptops sitting right next to each other is not a problem. All right, should be seeing what's going on here. Yahtzee. Oh, I like that I can just look over there, see that everything is working as expected. Cool. So you see that annoying thing right there. All right. There we go. All right, cool. So we want to take the next few minutes and kind of walk you through some of the strategy that we've been sharing since at least Summit. Hopefully everyone was able to attend Summit this year. I know that it was a fun and crazy experience, digital experience, of course. If you haven't had a chance to, or this is your first experience joining a Adobe focused webinar, I doubt that it is, but if it is, then head on over to summit.adobe.com and check out some of the cool content that we have here. One of the big things that came out of Summit this year was some of the strategies and technologies that we are sharing to the world around how we view cookieless and the future of cookieless and consent and privacy and all of that fun stuff. I think it's pretty spot on that the audience that I'm sharing this to is largely based in EMEA, except for Jeff and Sarah and my two friends sitting with me here in lovely New Jersey. But just in case you are currently living under a rock or you're just unfamiliar with some of the technology terms, I thought it would be useful just to kind of super quickly walk through some of the foundational knowledge around cookies. We'll start with the most basic around what is a cookie. The super simple concept is that cookies are just simply a little text file or a small line of code that is shared to help make the internet work a little better. Cookies are what allow websites to store information from one URL to another URL to another URL. For example, if you are logged in on page A and then you go to page B, you will still be logged in thanks to the power of cookies. Now, somewhere along the way, someone in marketing and advertising recognized the value of cookies could also help with the reason that we're all here today, for tracking, for analysis, for advertising. And that's where we get into some of these use cases for first and third party cookies. First party cookies means that the cookie is created by the domain that you're visiting. So it's accessible only to the domain that's in your browser URL, whereas third-party cookies are accessible to domains that are not the one on in your browser URL. So for example, if you're on adobe.com and a cookie is dropped for facebook.com, then that's a third-party cookie. If the cookie is for adobe.com, then it's a first-party cookie. And with all of that said, there's of course been some crazy changes over the past few years with regards to both of these. So I want to walk a little bit through some of those changes. These are really the more recent changes. If we go back to the release of ITP 2.1, I think we're looking at like 2019 or 2018-ish, when there were some significant changes. And but you can get a feel for a little bit of a timeline more recently around the disruption that is currently happening with cookies. First of all, we can see you've probably, for those of you that are iOS users, I know Frederick, you love Apple products, and so you've probably been seeing this a ton. But for those of you that have been checking out apps on iOS or iPadOS, then you'll have seen the Apple tracking transparency or transparency tracking framework, which basically says if you want, you have to opt in order to be tracked for across apps, which basically says all sorts of interesting changes when it comes to advertising. Then the big announcement earlier this month or last month, I don't know what month it is anymore, around Chrome disabling third-party cookies got pushed back to 2023. However, there's still that date is still looming. So that means that organizations need to prepare and start thinking about how that's going to affect their business. Now, I thought it was interesting that less than a third of data professionals are testing and investing in new solutions. So it's something that we all need to be thinking about. So most importantly, and don't worry, I've got some cool stuff at the end around what we're doing from technology standpoint to enable customers to track better and analyze better when it comes to the cookieless future. But I thought it could be interesting to talk a little bit about how organization acquisitions of consumers and customers and prospects are changing. It's interesting to me, I thought in the left there around how third-party cookies today or pre-ITP generally were not all that effective. There was a ton of media waste. The demographic information was awful. I remember not too long ago looking at like the data about me in BlueKai, and it said that I'm a male and it said that I'm a female. And I said, well, you know, you're half right. So that's not all that useful for anyone looking to advertise using that third-party data. And so in the future, what we're recognizing is that first-party data is going to be used to drive value. And that means that, first of all, especially in EMEA, thanks to GDPR, but also here in the US, thanks to CCPA and all the other statewide versions of GDPR-like laws, the first-party data is more valuable than ever, but requires, of course, consent and permission for use. And so what we've recognized is that marketers kind of have a few things pre-cookieless that is like a layer of value that comes from cookies. Things like what are bringing all of us together here: device analytics, data augmentation, personalization, and retargeting, as well as attribution. All of those rely on some level of cookies, whether it's session cookies to tie together analyses within device-based analytics, or longer expiration first-party cookies for personalization, or third-party cookies for attribution and retargeting. All of those things need to be rethought of and re-strategized and retooled as third-party cookies have completely gone away in Firefox and Safari, and are going away sometime in the next 2 to 10 years, depending on when Google makes a decision for Chrome. So where we're seeing customers at Adobe start to shift is with this tighter focus on first-party data. Where on the left here, first-party data can be used for omni-channel analytics. That's where we start thinking about fuller customer journey that is integrated across devices, across experiences, both digital and offline, using that first-party data to link it all together, as well as using that same data for personalization intelligence. And basically, what we've started to see is some brands are actually using behavioral data and testing and targeting to recognize the right moments along the way in order to make a request for an authentication or registration. And then all of that fun first-party data gets mixed together with behavioral data in order to be put to work, where you can orchestrate journeys with the right email to be sent or mobile notification to be sent at the right time, as well as advertising when driven by customer data platforms. I'm actually not going to go too deep on really any of this, but there's really kind of 3 key steps along the way for you to be thinking about within your organization for how you capture first-party data, how you activate that first-party data, and then how you can advance the activation of that across each of those different 4 items that I was just covering. Let's see. We've also started recognizing across the web that these types of personalization and optimal journeys are already starting to be put in place. We noticed brands like Chase, and I'll have to ask someone from France to pronounce properly the second brand there. Jen, I don't know.
L'Occitane?
Okay. I say L'Occitane, but I took Spanish in high school, so that's how good it's going to come from me. Where promotional offers are basically saying, all you need to do is kind of email and opt in, and then you'll have an incentive. We've also started to see where there's exclusive content, where everybody's favorite brand, Halliburton or the New York Times, are more personally and more exclusively delivering opportunities for opt-in and sharing of first-party data. And then finally, we've also seen the value exchange, which I think is really a big differentiator for the future of requesting that first-party data. The value that you'll get of, okay, if you log in, then you'll receive personalized recommendations and services like TEDx and CXL there on the right. So across those 4 different pieces of analytics and personalization, orchestration, and advertising, we've started to recognize that, as I mentioned earlier, customers are discovering the sequences that maximize first-party data with consent, and using tools like Analysis Workspace and Customer Journey Analytics to identify those most interesting pathways that can then be personalized in order to orchestrate those journeys that say, okay, now that your first-party data has been collected and shared, then how can we design a journey to ensure that higher paid products are purchased and churn is prevented. Then, of course, the view of the customer data platform, where that first-party data can be used and overlapped with publisher data in order to drive advertising. Okay, so this is probably the part that I'm most excited for. That was all strategy. I like to talk tech, and I have a feeling that this group does as well, even though, Frederick, you didn't ask that poll question of do people prefer strategy or tech, but I'm going to make that assumption, and if I'm wrong, then hopefully you preferred the other slides. So what's happening with ITP? There's all sorts of crazy stuff happening in the Apple world, where Apple has started to decrease the length of expiration for not just third-party cookies. They've completely killed third-party cookies, but also first-party cookies as well. And so what this means is, if you were to look at this crazy diagram, the way that the Experience Cloud ID is generated today is you've got your fun little device. It makes a request to our Edge network, which then says, hey, ECID service, I don't know this device, give me an ECID, and that's passed off to each of the Adobe applications and saved as a cookie for the ECID. The problem with that is on iOS 14 plus browsers, as well as Big Sur plus Safari, is you've got all sorts of limitations for how that cookie is going to expire. Third-party cookies, as I mentioned, are completely killed. We've got the skull without crossbones here. If it's a first-party cookie, which is what the ECID service uses today, and you're coming from a known ad tech platform like Google Paid Search or Facebook, et cetera, and there's an advertising query parameter, that cookie is going to die in 24 hours. The other two options are 7 days if you're not coming from ad tech, regardless of whether it's set with a CNAME or JavaScript. But what I thought was interesting is if it's a first-party cookie set via set cookie or an HTTP response header, then Apple hasn't set an expiration there. And so there could be an opportunity. And so that's where we're basically saying, if it's a first-party cookie set by a CNAME or document cloud, then after 7 days, your ECID changes from 1234 to 5678, and it's a completely new visitor. Whereas if it's that HTTP response header, or you're using a DNSA record, then it can last longer than those 7 days. And so what we're building at the moment is a way for brands like yourselves to create your own customer device ID, that anonymous ID, and then pass that in to the Experience Cloud ID service. And you as the brand would save that device ID in a cookie that could last significantly longer than 7 days. It gives you all sorts of control around those cookie lifetimes based on perhaps country or region or domain, et cetera. And so what that would look like is the customer device ID would be implemented. That would be set server side on your own company's website. And that then is saved on the end user's device. It's passed into the Edge network again. And then the Edge network handles that creation of converting your own device ID into an ECID and passes that along to each of the Adobe applications. The one requirement that you'll see here is that the Experience Platform Edge network needs to be in use, which means you'll need to be using the Web SDK in order to take advantage of this solution. And in terms of timelines, they're actually really close. And so it's something for everyone to start thinking about, because we have the beta starting just next month. Then we expect for it to go to general availability in October. And so that's everything that I have for you. I think I'm actually kind of curious, based on that customer device ID stuff, if there are any questions or comments or thoughts. So definitely please throw them in the chat pod, or reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter or Measure Slack or email or smoke signals, or just come to New Jersey and we can chat about it in person. And I thank you for the time. And I think I'm going to pass it over to someone else, Frederick or Ben.
You can pass it back to me and I can pass it on to Ben then. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Rick. That was really cool. And I'm really glad about the techie nerdy stuff. Because, yeah, I would have voted for the tech side.
All right.
Yeah.
So I am up. Okay. Okay, 1 second. All right, so I am going to take you through a few things that we're working on, that our team is working on in Adobe Analytics. Everyone can see my screen. Oh, yeah, I can just look over here and see that
nice.
everyone can see my screen, which is great. So this isn't everything by any stretch, but these are things that the team and I feel comfortable sharing with you. Please, don't live tweet this or anything, as this is functionality that hasn't released yet. But there are things that we are getting close on or are excited about that we feel like we can share with you. So try to toe that line, and I'll go as quickly as I can because I know we've only got a handful of minutes left. First, really quick, I do think that it's worth giving you some context for how we think about our roadmap and how we really the kinds of needs that we hear from you and your peers that we're trying to solve. So this is what we kind of take as our sort of vision statement, if you will. Our goal with Adobe Analytics is to enable anyone in the enterprise to understand and optimize customer interactions with their brand across all touch points in real time and at massive scale. And there are a few phrases here that you see that are bolded, and those are really indicative, I think, of things that we are hearing from you and your peers. First, everyone in the organization is clamoring for insights, not for data. Everyone has lots of data, but we will be successful in Adobe Analytics when people who don't even have a digital background or a digital focus are able to use the tool to get insights on whatever their area of focus happens to be. In one example that we've used before, we talk about a regional store manager. So this would be someone who maybe has responsibility for a set of retail locations somewhere in a country, or maybe they run all of the Starbucks in Italy or something like that, or whatever the case may be.
There's better coffee than that.
I know. I picked actually the worst example. I think there's a case study of like Starbucks failing in Italy. But why don't we say all the Starbucks in the UK? So anyway, so we that speaks a lot, I think, to the need to do a better job simplifying how insights are generated. Automatically surfacing contributing factors and factors that drive business for people, that kind of thing. Understand and optimize. Really, optimize is probably the key word here. We want to, what we're hearing is that the data has to be, you have to be able to take action on it, and so we want to focus there as well. And then, there is a clear shift that we're seeing in the industry from digital analytics being being its own focus to digital being part of the customer journey and the whole ecosystem around it. That digital is a very important touch point in what is a longer relationship with your customers and your consumers. So that's really where we're focused, and I think that's important background for a lot of what you're going to see now and in the future. And I think specifically, it's important to acknowledge that we are at a point where there's sort of a bifurcation in terms of how we think about our product. You all have experience. I was glad to see the poll the poll questions that Frederick ran earlier. It gave me some really interesting insight into the overlap between usage of the various Adobe products that kind of surround Adobe Analytics. Clearly, with this group, overwhelmingly, you are Adobe Analytics users. And we are going to continue to invest in Adobe Analytics and add functionality. You'll see a lot of that here in the next few minutes. But we're also shifting a lot of our focus toward customer journey analytics, which, if you aren't aware of, or if you're not familiar with it, customer journey analytics is imagine all of the great things about Adobe Analytics, but on a cross-channel data set. Imagine being able to bring contact center and point of sale or branch, if you're financial, if you're an FSI company, branch data, or bring in all of your CRM data or logistics, and bring all of that into Adobe Analytics and combine it together on a customer ID. And imagine being able to do all of the analyses that you currently do in Analysis Workspace, but on this much broader set of data that tells a more complete story about where your customers come from, what they're trying to do, what their motivations are, and what works and doesn't work as you try to retain them and turn them into loyal customers. And that's really what Customer Journey Analytics is all about. It's built on Adobe Experience Platform, so you can bring in all of those data sources that I mentioned, and we're really excited about it. The product has been around for a little over 18 months. So it is new, but it's built on a lot of the technology that you know, and it's got a very familiar user experience. It uses Analysis Workspace, so you can give it to users who are familiar with Adobe Analytics, and they will have some familiarity with it, which is great. So you're going to see on the roadmap, and you're going to see, frankly, increasingly, we are going to be focused on building things for Customer Journey Analytics, and in many cases, kind of retrofitting those for Adobe Analytics. But we are going to have some things coming that are only in Customer Journey Analytics, and I think that will probably increase going forward, based on adoption trends and I think it speaks to like I said earlier, the change in our industry, where we are seeing more digital analysts who are being asked to do things with other channels of data, and so we want to make sure that you've got the tools that you need. So you'll see a mix of things, and I'll call those out, but let's dive into some of the things that you can look forward to. Intelligent Alerts 2.0. If you're familiar with Intelligent Alerts in Adobe Analytics today, you know that they use anomalies they alert on statistically significant changes in your data, which is awesome. With Intelligent Alerts 2.0, we remove the need for you to manually create every alert that you care about. One of the great things about having a bunch of data is that we can use that data to predict the alerts that are going to be relevant to you based on your company's own usage of the tool. So if there are metrics, for example, that you use a lot, or segments that you use a lot, we can automatically surface alerts for those items for you. And then you can give us feedback on whether those were relevant or not. And so the system gets smarter as it goes. It's a true machine learning application. You help teach us what's relevant, and we use that signal to provide ever more relevant alerts to you. So that's Intelligent Alerts 2.0. That's coming to Adobe Analytics and eventually to Customer Journey Analytics. And this is one I checked with the product manager who's working on this. If any of you are interested in testing this, we can't necessarily offer it to everyone, but if you are interested in testing this, work with your customer success manager or your Adobe sales team, and don't send them to me, send them to a guy named Ashok Gorapati, and Jen or someone can type that in the chat pod so you know how to spell it. I don't want those emails, but Ashok does, and in as much as we're able, we would love to have you try this out. So this is something that's coming. I'm not going to give dates for most of these, but just know that we're working on them. Quick segments. So one of the really interesting things about Adobe Analytics is and kind of changes in our industry is that we are seeing more different types of users using the product, and one of those groups is product managers. And some of the feedback we've gotten really clearly from product managers and others, certain marketers, is that the segment builder is really complicated. And when you just need to build a basic segment, you should be able to do that directly in Analysis Workspace without having to leave that experience. And so we've created Quick Segments, which is a streamlined basic segment builder. It doesn't do everything, but it does a lot of things, and it will let you and your users build segments really, really quickly, which is, again, something that a lot of our newer types of users have been looking for. So this is something that I would expect to come to both Adobe Analytics and Customer Journey Analytics, and we'll just make it easier and faster for you to create some of your simpler segments, as you can see on the screen here. Report Builder for Customer Journey Analytics. So Customer Journey Analytics is based on the same sets of tools that you have in Adobe Analytics, and one of those is going to be Report Builder. So you'll be able to query a cross-channel data set directly in Excel. And one of the really great things about Report Builder for Customer Journey Analytics, which I know a lot of you are going to want this for Adobe Analytics, and we'll see what happens, but could be a good little benefit to being on Customer Journey Analytics, is that it will work across platforms. So it'll be for PC, Mac, or even Microsoft Office Online. And as you can see in the screenshot, it's a complete redesign. It's made to look and work more like Analysis Workspace in terms of building your queries. Other than that, it's basically the same concept. But we're really excited about this, and we are working toward launching this into beta very soon. I know, very few of you, or maybe none of you, responded that you are using Customer Journey Analytics yet, but if you are using it, or if you launch a pilot or a proof of concept, or if you start, testing it out with your account team, you can certainly participate in the beta and start to learn the new version of Report Builder and take advantage of it. Okay, Unified Analytics is essentially a new launch page for your projects and other artifacts in Analysis Workspace. It makes it much easier to find the projects that you want to launch, and you can even manage them directly from this launch page. You can create new projects. It also has the ability to launch basically reports. So similar to what you have in Reports and Analytics, where you can launch a kind of a pre-built thing, a pre-built project. We've had templates in Analysis Workspace before, but those templates are big and they're often more than what your users may want. So if you have users who just want to run a campaigns report or a products report or a pages report, they can now do that directly in Analysis Workspace, just like they would in Reports and Analytics. And so you can start to move your organization more into Analysis Workspace than they have been in the past. And there's also a great learning section with links to the YouTube channel and videos that we've created. So hopefully it'll help your users to get more familiar with the product. I'm almost done, I promise. Segment publishing for Customer Journey Analytics. If you've used segment publishing in Adobe Analytics, it's a great way to take what you're learning in Adobe Analytics and put it to use in Adobe Target or Adobe Campaign or Audience Manager. Imagine doing all of that great stuff, but now on cross-channel data. So now you could say, for example, I want to target people who called the call center, which is not something that you've been able to do before in Adobe Analytics. So that's awesome. And I think given that we're almost out of time, and given that very few of you have used customer journey analytics, what I will say is that one of the benefits of customer journey analytics is that you have a lot more control over the data after it's been collected and processed into the product. You can change, you can create new dimensions on the fly, you can create new metrics on the fly, and they're not calculated metrics, they're full-fledged metrics that can be used with attribution, that can be used in pathing and cohort analysis. You can control the types of buckets that are used in segmentation, people, events, and sessions rather than visitors, hits, and visits. You can rename those however you want. You can categorize things. There's a lot more control. So you don't need to spend as much time processing and reprocessing data, which is a great benefit there. And that must be it, because this slide has nothing on it. So I will end. A lot of great stuff coming. Again, that's not everything. That's just what we felt like we could share in this context. But thank you for having us, and I'll turn it back to Frederick.
All right. Thank you so much, Ben. And also, thank you again, Eric. So glad that you are actually here. We do have that very fancy Q&A section in the platform that we're using. So I don't know if that actually makes sense in the last minute that we have, also seeing that Jen and Eric have been answering a lot of questions in the chat already. So while we, I think, round this call off for today, feel free to just ask all remaining questions in chat, and then the lovely Adobe people will likely answer them. And if at any day Ben ends his screen share, somebody else could take it back. All right, there we are again.
Hey, sorry. I'm not used to this tool. Sorry about that.
Neither are we, but yeah, it works nice. So, George, maybe you want to also say a few words in the end if you are still with us.
Yeah, no, I've managed to stay on for the rest of the call, which is good.
Perfect.
Yeah, obviously, thanks to the presenters. I think, it's 5 o'clock now, so it's time to end. But yeah, thanks for everyone for joining. Had kind of over 100 attendees for the whole time, which is good. And yeah, we'll make sure you sign up to the chapter, and also if you're interested in either just giving any feedback or wanting to present at any time, click on the big contact us button on the chapter page, and we'll get back to you.
Exactly. Seconded. Thanks all of you for joining today. It was a lot of fun. Thanks, of course, to all the lovely Adobe people for joining. Thank you, Kelsey. And I'm really happy because we helped the Adobe Analytics User Group's YouTube channel from 9 to 42 subscribers, which is awesome. So that's a very big increase for one call. Yeah, and make sure to join the chapter so you are informed of future events, and we would all love to see you on the next one. And have a great time until then, and nice evening or day in the US.
Thank you.
All right.